More than 2,000 years ago, in the ancient city of Jerusalem, one of the most powerful and heartbreaking events in human history unfolded. It was the time of the Passover, and thousands had gathered in the city. Among them was Jesus Christ, known as a teacher, a healer, and the Son of God. On the night before his arrest, Jesus gathered with his 12 disciples for a final meal. This moment is known today as the Last Supper. As they sat together, Jesus did something unexpected. He took bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to his disciples. "Take and eat," he said. "This is my body." Then he took a cup of wine and said, "This is my blood of the covenant, poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." But then Jesus revealed something shocking. "One of you will betray me." The disciples were stunned. One by one they asked, "Lord, is it I?" Among them sat Judas Iscariot, the disciple who had already made a secret deal with the religious leaders to hand Jesus over for 30 pieces of silver. After the meal, Jesus and his disciples went to the Garden of Gethsemane, a quiet place on the Mount of Olives. Jesus was deeply troubled. He went a little farther, fell to the ground, and prayed, "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." While Jesus prayed, his disciples fell asleep. Soon, the silence of the night was broken by the sound of soldiers approaching with torches and weapons. Judas had arrived. He walked up to Jesus and greeted him with a kiss, a prearranged signal to the soldiers. At that moment, the betrayal was complete. The soldiers arrested Jesus and took him away. His disciples, filled with fear, fled into the darkness. Jesus was brought before the Jewish council, the Sanhedrin, where false witnesses accused him of blasphemy. But the council did not have the authority to execute him. So they brought Jesus before the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. Pilate questioned him but found no crime deserving death. Yet the crowd, stirred up by the religious leaders, shouted louder and louder, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Finally, under immense pressure, Pilate handed Jesus over to be crucified. Roman soldiers mocked Jesus. They placed a crown of thorns on his head and dressed him in a purple robe. Then they forced him to carry a heavy wooden cross through the streets of Jerusalem to a hill called Golgotha, meaning the place of the skull. At Golgotha, the soldiers nailed Jesus' hands and feet to the cross. This event is known as the crucifixion of Jesus. 2 criminals were crucified beside him. As Jesus hung on the cross in agony, he spoke words of incredible mercy. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Hours passed as darkness covered the land. Finally, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "It is finished." Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. At that very moment, the great curtain of the temple was torn in two, and the earth shook. A Roman centurion watching the scene said in awe, "Surely this man was the Son of God." A man named Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate for Jesus' body. He wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and placed it in a tomb that had been cut into the rock. A heavy stone was rolled across the entrance, but this was not the end of the story. 3 days later, something miraculous would happen: the resurrection. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores history and faith.